certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. We're here for a fun one today. We're talking about movies set in space, and these are movies primarily set in space and not with very minimal planetary stuff. And to quickly answer Stephen's question before I go to the panel, I just grabbed a thumbnail that I found when I googled movies set in space. So some of them may or may not be eligible. I'm not sure. We'll talk about them if they come up. But yeah, but we've got Wolf here. Wolf, how's it going?
Yeah, outer space. Now that's from Inside Llewyn Davis. Definitely not eligible, but really fun reference to outer space. I love outer space movies. This is one of my favorite subgenres of film, and so I've seen a lot of films for this, and it'll be interesting debating, what is eligible, what isn't eligible. But there's some all-timers on here, and then there's some kind of new classics that we're going to talk about, like a whole variety of stuff. So I'm excited.
But we've also got Austin here. Austin, how's it going?
Why is it all the fourth entries of crappy horror genres go to space? Critters 4, Hellraiser 4, Leprechaun 4. I guess, is that when they run out of ideas officially? Yeah, Jason took a while to get there, but will we bring up any of those movies? If we start to run low on some, I might be making arguments. We'll see.
Leprechaun in space, come on.
But we've also got Jonathan here. Jonathan, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Yes, had a very busy weekend, more or less. And yeah, I'm with Wolf that this is one of my favorite subgenres, movies set in space. Yeah, these are the movies that I want to go on a journey, just for better or for worse. So yeah, let's talk about them.
But yeah, Hal, Rank, and Mertzwich each going to go around and nominate a movie we think belongs on the top 12 movies set in space topic, and then everyone else will say yes or no to it. Because I only got 4 people, it's going to come down to that if they make the list. But and yeah, so basically any movie that's kind of set in space, but with very minimal planet thing is eligible, which means a good chunk of the Star Wars movie. Almost all of the Star Wars movies actually are ineligible, and then a few other franchises have bits and pieces here and there which aren't eligible either. But Wolf, I'm going to go to you first. What is the first movie you're going to bring up?
So the first movie I'm going to bring up is the newest one. I'm a huge fan of the book. Absolutely love this what Andy Weir does with it, and that is Project Hail Mary. This is one that is, when I watched it, instantly in my mind I said, this is an instant classic. This is a film that's going to transcend time and go and maybe get nominated for Best Picture, be one of those early Oscar contenders. Like, I'm so excited this film is so good, because as a fan of the book, it really lives up to every single moment in there, but adds new elements in there as well, and could even be argued to maybe even be better than the book, which is a rare feat. So it's absolutely one of the best book-to-screen adaptations I've ever seen. And Ryan Gosling is incredible in here. They make you invested emotionally into a rock creature, and their journey together is just absolutely beautiful. And it's a beautiful story about friendship, community, and just everyone coming together to try to save the world and make it a better place. So Project Hail Mary is, I think, an absolutely top 12 space movie of all time.
Austin, what do you say about Project Hail Mary?
Yeah, it's tricky because I'm usually hesitant to put, very recent movies on lists like this for like all time. I'm very hesitant to do that depending on the topic. but I'm looking at my list and I'm barely scratching 12 on my personal list here. So, you know, I could be swayed on one or two of these things. I don't know if it's going to go high on the list because, again, I've lived with a lot of these movies longer, if that makes sense. But for now, I'll give it a slight yes, even though it's my favorite movie of the year. I agree with that. You know, I'm just hesitant about recency bias. That's all. But for now, given the list I have in front of me, I'll say yes.
Jonathan, what do you say about Project Hail Mary?
I'm on the same boat actually with Austin because it is also my favorite movie of the year so far, and I think this will be a sci-fi classic because of not just the intelligence behind it, but also there's some humanity and there's some humor in here. You know, with him and Rocky, it's sort of like a funny Star Trek episode if you think about it. Just two different species working together, and it did remind me of that and E.T. and it is wonderful. It zips by for me. There's some gorgeous visuals. The Petrova line sequence. You know, it goes from green planet to red. Wonderful. Daniel Pemberton's score. I rarely do this because I don't love putting like movies that are recent, that came recent on the list. I'll say slight yes too. I think it's that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just haven't got around to seeing it, so it's going to make the list.
Definitely check it out when you can, though. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
I will get around to it eventually. I didn't find time last week to do it. I just decided to do the double feature of Ready or Not 2, and they will kill you.
That's a good double feature.
But Austin, we're going to go to you next. What is the first movie you're going to bring up?
Should be an easy shoe-in given the panel here, and I don't think there's any haters of this movie, but it's on my shirt. So can we just put 2001: A Space Odyssey on there and just move along fairly quickly? Get some quick guesses. I mean, it's an all-timer. This one actually has withstood the test of time. You know, it might end up being the oldest movie we put on the list, but it's a movie I think you go see it in the theater even now, which we did, just a few weeks ago, and it's still just visually stunning, visually gorgeous, and the fact that it's all practical back in 68, and it still is just beautiful to look at, but still got a really unique story there. It was AI gone wrong before, the bevy of AI gone wrong, that we have today. So I think sorry, did I cut out for a second?
Yeah,
you did cut. Yeah. Everybody's cutting off.
My internet's been choppy today too, so we had a hiccup earlier today. Anyways, 2001 before I cut out again.
Jonathan, what do you say about 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Well, I'm not sorry, Austin. I cannot do that. I may have to have your vote out there. Yeah. Yes, 2001 should be on the list. Yeah, the majority of the movie after the Dawn of Man sequence is set in space. Yes, there's this one part where they're on a planet, but no, it is a great space odyssey where they're in a pickle with HAL 9000, and it's like a tete-a-tete thing. And it's an extraordinary movie by Stanley Kubrick. It has held up very well. So, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I'm not as high on 2001: A Space Odyssey as other people are. I do think it's a good movie, and in this case, I don't mind saying yes to it because I do think it belongs on this list, and I've got a few that I've got higher that I'm not 100% certain if they count. So so it's an easy yes for me for 2001. And Wolf, what do you say about 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Yeah, so there are certain films that I respect and admire more than I absolutely love. But it's also just sort of like the experience of how I've seen them. Like I've only ever seen this film at home. While they do re-releases, and I felt that way about Lawrence of Arabia. I was like, kind of overrated. But then I saw it in a theater landscape, and I was like, holy shit, this is now actually really great. Mm-hmm. And it's so maybe if I go see it in a theater, I'll have even more respect for it and even more love for it. But because I do admire what it's done, and I still like it overall. I think the film is still good, and because I respect it heavily for what it did for film. All the films we're talking about tonight would not have existed if it wasn't for 2001: A Space Odyssey. So because of that, definitely got to put that on this list for sure.
With that, Jonathan, I'm going to go to you next. What is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Well, their mission is to find another planet, to basically inhabit it and populate. And I'm going to nominate Interstellar. Yeah. And Earth is dying, and what did they have to do? They had to send a pilot and a few other crewmates and a couple of computer robots into space, find a planet, and that's it. You think it's easy on paper? Nope. Thanks, Matt Damon. Am I cutting off?
Oh, you're good.
No.
I'm good. Okay. So, Interstellar is a great movie from Christopher Nolan. I think it's held up more and more on rewatches, and it's also a beautiful thematic movie. So, Interstellar. Yeah.
This is what I had to think about because it's been a while since I've seen it, but after sort of looking up things about it, there's definitely a lot of space scenes in this movie, and so I was like, and once again, I don't think we've got any haters on this panel for this, and I think Interstellar's beautiful, so it's a easy yes for me. Wolf, what do you say about Interstellar?
An absolutely easy yes for maybe the greatest space sequence in all of film, in my opinion, which is the "Come on, Tars" and the whole docking sequence. That might be the greatest actual space sequence I've seen in a movie. I've never felt that intense watching a film in a while. And it was so good. The Patrol the Line sequence actually in Project Hail Mary felt kind of a lot like that, which was interesting the way that it was shot. And,
I was going to say the fishing scene.
Or the fishing scene. That was it. Yeah, that's what I meant. The fishing scene when they're trying to get all. Yeah, that felt a lot like the docking sequence. And so I absolutely love Interstellar. One of the best Nolan films. One of my favorite theater experiences I've ever had. It's an absolute classic. So. I think it absolutely counts. Yeah, there's sequences on Earth. Yeah, there's, sequences on other planets. But this is literally like a fucking 3-hour long movie. So because of that, a good chunk of it still takes place in space. And it's definitely worthy of being on this list.
And Austin, what do you say about Interstellar?
Yeah, I would argue if at least half of the movie takes place in space, I would probably make an argument for it. You know what I mean? And if the central plot revolves around something in space, I think that would put it over that kind of halfway mark sort of thing, Because, you could get into the minutia of whatnot, but I've also got a movie later I might bring up where I can make that argument as well. So, we'll talk about it. But, no hate for me on Interstellar. I adore Interstellar. Saw it twice when it came out. I saw it again when they did the 10th anniversary. Then I saw it again a few weeks ago when my Regal just played it randomly, for that thing. So any chance I get to see it in the theater, it's great. I listen to the score all the time. I love that Hans Zimmer score. It's amazing. This movie has held up like fine wine. So no hate for me on Interstellar. I adore it. Yes.
But that Interstellar is going to make the list, and it's back to me. I'm going to try for this one. I don't know if anyone's seen it, because it isn't like an old movie. In fact, it came out the same year as the Apollo 11 moon landing, but it's called Marooned, which is a space movie starring Gene Hackman and Gregory Peck, which is about 3 astronauts who are trapped and slowly suffocating in space. I think it's just a beautiful movie. And it's just one of those ones where you got to see sort of the crew in space sort of trying to navigate and trying to do the stuff that they're being told to sort of fix it and get back to Earth and that. And then you saw the people on Earth sort of trying to save them. I think it's going to be, if you haven't seen it, I recommend giving it a shot. But I don't know if many people have seen it. But Wolf, what do you say about Marooned from 1969?
Never seen it. I gotta get around to seeing it. I watched a lot of Gene Hackman movies when he passed away, but this was one of the ones I did not get a chance to check out. So I will have to get a chance to watch it when I can.
Austin, have you seen Marooned?
So funny enough, I have it on my Fandango right now. I bought it for like $5, and I have not actually seen it because I didn't really think about it for this one. I'm aware of it. I had the Pure Cinema podcast kind of recommend it. It's kind of a dad space movie, very just sciencey, kind of trying to fix problems. I haven't pushed play on it yet, so I haven't watched it.
And Jonathan, have you seen Marooned?
Nope.
Yeah.
Which means it's not going to make the list, but that's why it was the first one I brought up. It's like I knew there was a chance I was going to make it, but what was the next one you're going to bring up?
I'm going to bring up one that's in my top 64. This is one of my all-time favorite movies with my boy Sam Rockwell. This is the first one we can kind of debate, which is Moon. Now, when you said that this the majority of it couldn't take place on a planet. I understand that with like the Martian and all that stuff, but the moon isn't necessarily a planet. And a lot of the times most of the sequences are in space as he's talking to himself through this clone and everything of himself. And the acting from Sam Rockwell is incredible. This whole movie is really well done. And also, you talk about scores. This movie has a very underrated score. Like I go back and I listen to the score sometimes, and it's really, really fantastic. So, and Duncan Jones did an incredible job directing this, and he needs to come back and deliver something really good again. But yeah, this is a very great space movie in my opinion, and I think it absolutely counts for this list and is one of the best space movies ever made. So,
Austin, what do you say about Moon?
This is where we're going to have a debate. Do you consider being on a moon being on another planet? I would ask Malcolm, the man who came up with the parameters of this one. That's what I would ask Malcolm, because he's not really like in space per se. He's on a station on the moon the whole time. So yes, he's out there on the moon. He's not on Earth, and he's not on Mars or anything like that. Do you consider that a space location? I would go to Malcolm. Be the judge of that.
Yeah, this is what I've seen on a few lists. I've been struggling with this for time too, which is why I didn't bring it up straight away in the private chat anyway. I honestly, Jonathan, you were about to say something.
The moon is a satellite that orbits Earth.
I was going to say it's technically in Earth's orbit.
Yes.
So if you were standing on the moon, you would still be in space in an orbit, much like a satellite. So it's not its own entity per se.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards yes. I had to have the debate discussion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get opinions.
Yeah. No, based on that, I will allow it.
Okay, so I mean, if that's the case, I'll say yes, because Moon is awesome. Like Sam Rockwell is amazing, great performance all around. Him kind of slowly maybe losing his mind. Yeah, just being up there by himself, talking to the computer voiced by Kevin Spacey. Who does give a good performance in the movie as well. Is this like what's the smiley face thing? It's just like the smiley face sticker on the screen, sort of a thing. So it really works. It's a great movie. So if it counts, I'll say yes. That's kind of my thing.
And Jonathan, what do you say about Moon?
Yeah, this is probably the trickiest movie here because we have to debate whether the moon is part of space or it's just a satellite on Earth. And it is a satellite. And he's stationed there probably the whole movie. And it is great. Because it would contradict one of my choices, but technically they don't go on the moon. And wink, wink. Yeah, I'll say yes.
Yes.
It's not a planet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, like Moon is one of those tricky ones that, like, even I had debated a bit when I was like looking it up. It's one of those ones like. Yeah, like the moon is, as I said, like it's like technically not a planet in its own right, and yeah, so it definitely counts. And I do think Moon is great. And I think it's just one of those movies that I will probably go back to again. I haven't actually been to it since I first saw it a few years ago. But it's an easy yes for me though. But so Moon is going to make the list. Austin, we go back to you.
So I guess, Malcolm, you talked about how one per franchise, right? So I'll make an argument for my one per franchise. I'm going to go Star Trek First Contact, which and that is that I'm a next gen guy. And when you actually break the movie down, I think more of it takes place on the Enterprise and in space than on Earth with the James Cromwell stuff. If I had to hash out the runtimes, I think it does, because you got the opening space battle with the Borg. That's all space. Most of the stuff with the Borg is still on the Enterprise, orbiting the Earth. You got the spacewalking sequence where they're battling with that. So yes, there's the stuff on Earth, with them with James Cromwell, kind of building the First Contact rocket and whatnot, but more often than not they're on the Enterprise, which is in space. So I think it counts, and yeah, it's the best of the next gen movies. It's my favorite actual Star Trek movie. It's close as we've gotten to a horror movie in Star Trek, which I think is great. Some of the sequences are generally kind of terrifying and well done. Good direction, good score, great acting all around. So my nomination for the Star Trek franchise would be First Contact.
Jonathan, what do you say about Star Trek First Contact?
Well, I had 2 Star Trek movies, and if we're picked one, First Contact was one of them. And yes, I think that qualifies because most of the action is on the Enterprise in space, and them combating the Borg, and also his scenes with Alfred Woodard, as he tours the Enterprise with her, and it's wonderful. And also the scene where they have to walk outside the Enterprise as the Borg are planting the bomb. Assimilate this. So yeah, even though the Earth stuff it's good, it's light and humorous, most of the action and most of the crux of that plot is in space. So I'm gonna say yes to Star Trek First Contact.
This is definitely, like, now that I've officially seen all the Star Trek movies as of last year, so I can actually have opinions on them. This is my favorite Star Trek movie. I think it's great, and yeah, I'm not going to lie. I did ask AI how many of the Star Trek franchise take place in space, and this was one that they mentioned. This is it's an absolute yes to me. I think it's great. So, and Wolf, what do you say about Star Trek First Contact?
If we're putting one of these through, I would say yes to First Contact, even though Wrath of Khan is my favorite Star Trek movie. That's my other one. Yeah, Wrath of Khan is my all-time favorite Star Trek movie. This one I feel like is a little bit more of a space Star Trek, a little bit like it utilizes it more, I think, than like Wrath of Khan does, and some of the other Star Trek movies. So, and I feel like you have to have a Star Trek movie on this list somewhere if you're going to do a space lineup, because there are more space movies than like Star Wars is and such. So I'm gonna say yes for Star Trek First Contact.
That Star Trek First Contact is going to make the list. Jonathan, we're going to go to you next. What is the next movie you're going to bring up?
I'll save the obvious one for the next round. I'm going to go a little fun here because basically the entire movie takes place in space. So, Event Horizon. That'll be my next nomination. This is a horror movie. Oh, man, it is a horror movie. Yeah. It begins on the space station, and then essentially it takes place on the ship in the Lewis and Clark, and then onto the Event Horizon, and has held up pretty well actually as both a sci-fi and a horror film. Yes, it borrows elements from Alien and Solaris, but it's its own movie as it speculates what happened to the crew that vacated the Event Horizon, and then we've all seen it. It's a hellish nightmare. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, one person is the devil right there, and that quote has lingered on me. Hell is only a word. The reality is much, much worse. So let me show you, and then all these terrible images. So Event Horizon.
You read my mind. This was going to be my next one. I was going to bring up because apart from the fact that it's got Sam Neill in it, I think Event Horizon is probably Paul W.S. Anderson's best movie. I'd stand by that.
Not a high bar though, but
nope.
Yeah, not a high bar. But yeah, it's a great movie. I think everyone is great in it, like Jason Isaac, Sam Neill. I think they're all great in the movie, and it's just a really fun movie. And yeah, so it's an easy yes for me. But Wolf, what do you say about Event Horizon?
Yeah, Event Horizon is great. Sam Neill is awesome in this movie. The whole cast is awesome. Sam Neill, Lawrence Fishburne, Kathleen Quinlan. Yeah, all of them are extremely great in this film. And I thought like the music in this is really good. The score, the actual effects still hold up really well. This definitely is a horror movie in space. This you could definitely see some like inspirations for Dead Space, the game that came out later on. Like there's some inspiration easily from Event Horizon if you go look up cutscenes from that. I think even the game developers even said it themselves. But this came out my birth year, 1997, greatest year in film. Good. So I'll say yes for Event Horizon, and it definitely is Paul W.S. Anderson's best movie for sure.
But that Event Horizon
I would have said yes as well. No,
sorry,
you're only wrong about one thing, Wolf. Advance 2 years, and you got the best year in film, 1999. You're almost there. 97 was a good year though, but you're
it was good.
But 1997 is the year of like Batman and Robin, and we had
Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Yeah. No. Stay tuned to the monthly mistake in May. Yes to Event Horizon. No, we don't get a lot of good space horror, and yeah, it's a rarity that we get a really good one. And yeah, oddly enough, I think of the movies we nominated so far, and maybe the movies we even will nominate the whole time, this might be the only one that legit the entire 100% of the runtime takes place in space. Because don't we just start on the ship already going towards the thing, and then they're not investigating a planet, they're not investigating whatever, they're just investigating another ship. And I'm pretty sure the whole thing, 100% of the movie, is in space. On space
one
ships.
is very close. One is
I think there's another one's close. There's one or two that are close, but I think this is one of the few ones where it's like 100%, which is kind of rare. But it's a yes for Event Horizon. I was just thinking about that.
But for me, I'm going to bring up.
No, there is another one. There's another one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought of another one. I forgot to put on the list.
Oh well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But with that, I'm going to bring up an obvious one. It's one that I don't know how it's going to go, but it's Star Wars: A New Hope. Yes, you got the scenes on Tatooine and that. A lot of the movie is either set on the Death Star or set on the Millennium Falcon going to the Death Star. There's not a lot of planetary stuff outside of Tatooine that I can recall, but I think this one counts, and I think it's definitely not my favorite of the Star Wars movies. I think it's the only one that really counts for this list. But Wolf, what do you say about Star Wars: A New Hope?
We have 5 so far.
6.
I'm math drawn. We have 6 so far. We have a Star Trek movie on here. So I feel like if we have Star Trek, might as well have Star Wars as well. And I agree, this is the only one that does have some legit like space sequences in there that could classify it as a space movie. Especially if you are thinking the Death Star basically as just a satellite, then yeah, that's like the whole, or just a ship, then like a good chunk of it does take place in space. Even though like the space battles themselves are like maybe like one sequence, it's like the actual ship is in space for like a good chunk of the film. So and this is a classic. It's an all-timer that has also inspired several other films that we're going to be talking about. So I feel like you kind of have to put at least the Star Wars movie on here, and A New Hope is a good one.
I mean, I think Han Solo says it himself about the Death Star. That's no moon. But Austin, what do you say about the first Star Wars?
Yeah, because I was racking my brain this week as well, kind of going through the movies like in my head, and yeah, I think the one that most qualifies is the OG, because you think about the opening sequence is the is a fully spaced sequence. They go down to Tatooine for a little bit, but really just the first act. Once they take off in the Millennium Falcon, you're on the Falcon, then you're on the Death Star, which is a space station. Then you're back on the Falcon for the little TIE fighter sequence. They go to Yavin for like a little bit, for like 5 minutes, then we're back up into space for the Battle of Yavin against the Death Star, which is also in space. So the majority of the movie, I would say a good 2/3 of it takes place in space. So yeah, it's the one that kind of most qualifies, because all the other ones they're bouncing around to different planets and whatnot, with some space sequences in between. So I think we need to have some kind of Star Wars representation on here, and this one most qualifies for the parameters we're talking about. And yeah, it's still a really good movie. So yeah, I'll say yes to New Hope.
And Jonathan, what do you say about Star Wars: A New Hope?
Yes. Yeah, this is the only one that I have on the list that qualifies. Yeah, it's like 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the movie that is set in space. So, yes.
With that, it's going to make the list, and we go back to Wolf.
All right. So the next one, I'll get another obvious one out of the way. And I'm going to keep the horror trend going here and do Alien. So, yeah. One of the greatest space movies.
Thanks.
Good. Now we can pivot. Now I can pivot to something else without going shit. I need to get the obvious ones out of the way.
Yeah. Because Alien is more of a space movie than like Aliens is, because Aliens is on like a planet a lot of the movie. This one, it's all in space for basically 90% of the film. There's like a little bit of a sequence where they go to like explore a little bit of the planet, and that's where they find the eggs and all that stuff. But for the most part, 90% of this movie is in space, and this is terrifying. It still holds up. The effects are really good. The performance from Sigourney Weaver is exceptional, and the movie just makes you just feel the anxiety of what it's like to be in space. So I think Alien is an all-timer and absolutely deserves to have a spot on this list. So Alien.
Austin, what do you say about Alien?
Yeah, oddly enough, I think the ones that count, and I was again racking my brain about the Alien franchise, and I'm going to say yes to Alien, but obviously the other ones that count, I think, are Alien Resurrection and Alien Romulus are the other two that actually kind of count for the section, because Resurrection takes place mostly on a station and a ship, and then Romulus takes place mostly on the Romulus station, right? So those are the only ones that really count. Aliens doesn't count. Alien 3 doesn't count. Prometheus and Covenant don't count either. So these are the ones that count. And well, of course, if you're going to pick out of those three, as much as I love Romulus as well, you're going to go with the OG. Yeah, most of it on the Nostromo. I mean, what's there to say about this movie that hasn't been said? I adore this movie. Not again, Alien's is my favorite of the franchise, but it's no knock against Alien, because it's just such a great back-to-back. They're just two different types of movies. But yeah, it's great. So yeah, easy yes for Alien. We have to have that one on this list. That's why I was like, please bring up another obvious one so I can talk about something else. Otherwise, I'll have to bring up Alien by default before we run out of spaces.
Yeah.
Nice pun there, Austin.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what do you say about Alien?
It's in the tagline. I mean,
space,
no one can hear you scream.
Yeah. One of the greatest taglines ever.
It's like one of the best ones ever. Yeah, you're right. And 100% yes. Let's move on.
Yeah. This one was actually slightly complicated for me, because but it's gonna this one's gonna make the list regardless, because I actually like Romulus a little bit more. But the first one's the first one's still pretty good. Alien is gonna make the list. So yeah. Austin, we go back to you.
So one that I thought about like halfway through the week when I was thinking about this, and I believe a majority of it takes place in space, aside from one or two kind of detours. Galaxy Quest, no, Galaxy Quest, which yeah, it's a great kind of Star Trek, sort of send up and satire. Because yes, we start kind of on Earth at the Comic Cons, but literally Tim Allen gets zapped up there within like 10-15 minutes of the movie, and there's a good chunk of it that's them piloting everything, doing their thing, and then once the rest of the crew joins, they're on a space adventure, with the villain getting boarded, and the whole climax of the movie is them trying to fix the ship and then battle everybody on the actual ship still in space. We have the slight detour to that like rock planet for a little bit, 10-15 minutes, but most of it takes place on the Protector. And again, I think it's a great send-up of Star Trek. So and a really great comedy, amazing cast, like super stacked cast. Second Sam Rockwell movie we're putting on the list, second Sigourney Weaver movie we're putting on the list. So I'm down with all that. So yeah, it's one that I didn't think about till about halfway through the week when I was putting it on the list. But I'm gonna go Galaxy Quest. So.
Jonathan, what do you say about Galaxy Quest?
No, I need more time to pick my next one. Awesome. I thought about it. I had to look at certain scenes while researching throughout the week, and you're right. Yeah, the majority of the movie takes place in space, and that the Protector. It's a fun movie. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have a lot of comedies on here, and this is a fun comedy, a fun riff of the Star Trek franchise and Comic Cons itself. It's just a ton of fun. It's a really good movie. Great surprise from Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman. It's great.
Shalhoub. Yeah, all those guys.
All those guys. And what's that? The one actress who's in like under the radar actors like in other comedies.
Missy Pyle.
Missy Pyle. That's who I was.
That's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I have a little bit of time to think about my next nomination. So yes, I'll go Galaxy Quest.
But yeah, I love Galaxy Quest. I think it's really good, and yeah, I had this on my list, and it's not the only comedy I had on there, but the other one that I've got on my like really high up on my list, I don't think any of you guys have seen it because it's a British one. So, but I may bring it up in honorable mentions, but yeah, I think Galaxy Quest is a lot of fun, and it's an easy yes for me. But Wolf, what do you say about Galaxy Quest?
This is, now that Austin brought it up and I think about it, like this is an absolute yes for me. This movie is one I was going to bring up and debate if we had to, because I think this film is incredible. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I quote it so many times that you could say Galaxy Quest is a hell of a thing, to quote Tony Shalhoub from Galaxy Quest. Like, this is one of the most quotable films, one of the most hilarious films, with a great all-star cast, like we talked about, some great effects that still hold up. And also, one cool thing about the like 4K of it, I have the 4K Steelbook of Galaxy Quest, and one cool aspect about it is the first like 15 minutes when they're on Earth is in the 4:3 aspect ratio, and then once he first ever appears in space, it opens up to the wide 16:9 aspect ratio, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, great film, Galaxy Quest. It's in the name, Galaxy. Like, they're gonna be in space, so, and they're having a quest through the galaxy. So I would definitely say yes for that.
But that Galaxy Quest is going to make the list, and we go over to Jonathan.
Oh boy, there's some very good movies left. Okay, this is not a horror movie per se, but it's definitely a horror life event for one character, maybe two characters. Gravity.
Yeah, I was figured you were
Gravity. Look, it's a disaster when all the debris is hitting your ship and in the station itself, and you're trapped up there just swinging around in space in gravity, and you're fearing that you're never going to return back to Earth. Oh man, it's a scary nightmare for these two astronauts played by Bullock and Clooney. It's great, and then we got this little voice performance from Ed Harris. And I think it's a great experience from Alfonso Cuarón. It's very short. It's a very short movie. It's essentially the mission is just to get home. That's it. They have to find a way to get home. And yeah, the majority of the movie is set in space, except for the one scene. So Gravity will be my nomination.
Gravity is mostly people talking in space, and it's still a good movie. It's one of I actually watched it for the first time for this because I just hadn't seen it in a while, I think it's a great movie, and I think it's a lot of fun, and maybe we'll have another Ed Harris movie where he basically plays the same role. Come up later on, it's an easy yes for me for Gravity. But Wolf, what do you say about Gravity?
Gravity, I'm going to say it is an absolute yes because Jordan Anderson isn't on the stream to try to argue. So I can go against him and say yes for Gravity. This is one of the all-time space movies. Seeing this in theater was just such an insane experience. Seeing you really felt the peril throughout. Alfonso Cuarón did a really good job directing it. So yeah, it's exceptional. So I'll say Gravity definitely is a yes.
And Austin, what do you say about Gravity?
I think my connection is getting choppy, so I'll just say yes before I lose it. Yes.
Yeah. Gravity is making the list, and I think it's back to me.
Look.
No, I'm going to try this and see what happens. Doesn't make the list. I'm fine with it because I honestly don't remember how much of it actually shows the space mission. But I'm going to bring up the one I reference, and that's Apollo 13. I think Apollo 13 is a fantastic movie, and I think Ed Harris plays a great role as mission control, and then I think then you've got Tom Hanks and all that as well. I think in space as well, and I think it's just a really fantastic movie, and I don't exactly remember how much the sort of how much is the space mission and how much is the mission control into this. But I thought I'd see what happens. But Wolf, what do you say about Apollo 13?
Yeah, this is interesting. I would say when you look at space movies as a whole, Apollo 13 is one of the ones that gets talked about a lot because of the sequences. Yeah, it flashes down to Earth a lot, and even in between the space sequences. But I think that this movie has enough space sequences to qualify it as a space movie, in my opinion. So it's a yes.
Austin, what do you say about Apollo 13?
I tell you why I'm going to say yes. Because if you guys put this movie on the list, I'm making an argument for my next nomination to count. Okay, because if you have a lot of sequences in the first half of this movie where they're training to go to space, they're in the simulators, there's a lot of Earth shit, and they're bouncing back and forth. If you say yes to this, you cannot say no to my potential next nomination. So I'll say yes.
That's what Wolf would nominate, though. I mean,
yeah.
Jonathan, what do you say about Apollo 13?
I'll think about it, okay? But I'm going to say yes because this is essentially the space movie. We have to have like a true story movie that's set in space, and this is an extraordinary true story about them. It's a successful failure. Let's just put it that way. And their mission is to go to the moon, but they can't, because there's an accident, and they have to find a way to get back to Earth. So, and I like that it's all about communication from both ends and teamwork on both ends, both on mission control and in the space station and spaceship on Apollo 13. And yeah, their lives are at stake, and I think it's a tremendous movie. And I know which movie Austin's talking about. Boy, we have one more spot left. So let's see. Apollo 13.
But Apollo 13 makes the list. And funny enough, I definitely didn't plan it this way. But I was looking at my list on my Letterboxd. Apollo 13 landed at number 13 on my list. I didn't plan it. I was just looking, like, I did not plan it. But Wolf, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Yeah, the next movie I'm going to bring up, and this one I think counts because they're on a spaceship through like a good chunk of this film. It is Danny Boyle's film Sunshine.
Shit.
That's the next one I'm going to bring up because this film is incredible. I think once you get to like the stowaway that's like on board or whatever, I do think it starts to fall a little flat, but like the first 2/3 are like a near masterpiece up until that point. And I think it's absolutely incredible with fantastic performances from Cillian Murphy, from Rose Byrne, from Chris Evans, Michelle Yeoh. Like, you just have a incredible cast of characters here. They all work really well together. The effects are incredible. The score is really incredible in this film. I think that this is one of the best space movies ever made. So Sunshine is my next nomination.
Austin, what do you say about Sunshine?
Sorry, is it on me? My streamer keeps going in. I don't know if it's Malcolm's streamer.
I can hear your audio
so I
fine.
hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, am I breaking up? Okay. Yeah, this is so tricky because, I don't really want to say no. I've always been a defender of Sunshine. I've been one of the defenders that, that first 2/3 is great. And it really, really works. And
Now
it's okay. I think that first 2/3 is so good. And shit. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on tonight. My internet's been screwy since the storm yesterday. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Jonathan, what do you say about Sunshine?
Yes.
Okay. I know what his next movie is going to be, but Sunshine was the one that I was alluding to that almost 100% is set in space. Almost 100%.
Yeah.
Like 98, I think. Like 98%.
Yeah,
because they're on the ship the whole time, and then they're in another ship. And then they're in that cargo. I'm not sure, but it is a really good movie. I do agree the first 2/3 of the movie is excellent. Last third with Mark Strong, it's fine. It feels like a different movie. It is underrated.
Very much so.
I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, that's a good pick. Damn it!
It's hard, man. So many good space movies.
Yeah.
I mean, we left out Jason X. We left out Leprechaun.
Jason X.
We left out.
Yeah.
I was going to jump back.
Yeah, because I think that. Yeah, I'm okay on your end is okay.
Yeah,
probably his. Yeah, maybe his connection. All right.
Yeah. But and for me, it would have been an easy yes for Sunshine. I love the movie, and I'm pretty sure I know I'm in the same boat that I know Austin's was going to bring up, because I think it's in the same vein as Apollo 13.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I felt like it's okay to bring up Sunshine, because we already had one that was in the vein of what Austin was going to bring up. So it's like, because
we don't have any movies about the sun.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Project Hail Mary.
Hail Mary, kind of, but really the sunshine's about the sun.
Yeah.
So that does bring us to the end of the nomination.
Wow.
I'll double check on that. It is 12. It's 3.
I like that.
6. Yep, it is 12.
I love it.
So, Austin, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Well, again, I think the one I alluded to, which I'm sure Jonathan picked up on very, very quickly, was I think there's an argument to be made for Armageddon.
Yeah.
If you're going to put Apollo 13 on the list, I think you can make an argument for Armageddon, because I actually, even during this week, went back in the movie. The movie's 2 hours and 30 minutes. They take off to go into space in 1 hour and 8. And the rest of it is them doing the asteroid mission. And if you include even the opening sequence with the astronauts getting pummeled, all the different times they flash to the asteroid and whatnot, I think there's enough there where it's like 50-50. But if my argument was, if you're going to put Apollo 13 on the list, which has all the buildup and the training and all that to the mission, then you should consider Armageddon as well, because it's kind of 50-50. So that would have been my next one. Spaceballs, you can make an argument for. I think there's enough space stuff in Spaceballs if you wanted another comedy on here. And then shit, man, if it hadn't gotten down to it, I'm making an argument for Jason X. I love Jason X. So and pretty much almost that whole movie takes place on the spaceship. So I mean, I didn't have much more. Again, my list was not much beyond about 15 or so, like, unless there was some glaring ones that I missed. But no, we have a solid list here, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, Jonathan, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yes, I did. I had the original Solaris. It's mostly set in that space station. I was thinking the right stuff, but a lot of it's on Earth, so I wasn't going to nominate that. I'll just make a mention for 2010 because it's hardly ever brought up here, so whatever. WALL-E. I think probably most of the movie is set in space. Yeah, after WALL-E leaves Earth, it's the space.
I think because the first 45 minutes on Earth, but then it's like 1 hour and 45. I think the last hour is mostly on the ship. So
it's on the ship.
Make an argument for WALL-E.
So WALL-E, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I think that's it qualifies. And one from last year I think is underrated. Or actually, I have two more. One, Elio. Yeah, because the kid is aspiring just to go to space, and he is in space in a spaceship. And and the ending is he's back on Earth. So. Yeah, and then one more. It qualifies with the Armageddon Apollo 13 thing. Space Cowboys, because they had to fix a satellite, so they don't go on a planet. So yeah, that's it.
No, for me, I also had the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I didn't bring them up because I wasn't. I thought I thought there was more planetary stuff than what I initially thought. I just didn't. I was going to rewatch it. I just didn't have time. I wish I'd rewatched it instead of watching Strangers Chapter 3. That was a bad choice on my part last night. But yeah, the other comedy I was alluding to was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I think that's a fun movie that is mostly set in space. And funny enough, I was going to bring up the remake of Solaris. I think the remake is actually a lot of fun.
Okay.
And that's probably about it that I had for me as well. But Wolf, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, it's kind of in the vein of Apollo 13, but I don't think it would have counted. But I'll just throw as honorable mention is First Man, because I do really love that movie. And then also, there's an A24 film with Robert Pattinson called High Life. I thought it was really good. So, and then one that I like that I know a lot of other people don't like is Ad Astra. That's
I like
one that. Yeah, so
I like it enough, but I don't know if I'd put it on this list.
No, I wouldn't put it on the list. That's why I have it as an honorable mention. One that I wouldn't have on this list either, but it's an honorable mention would be Life, the one with Jake Gyllenhaal. I think that movie is actually kind of a bit fun with like a really dark ending. So I have fun with that. Serenity, if that counts, is one I would throw in there because they're kind of like on a space adventure in that movie, and so that's one I would throw in. And then Spaceman is one that I really enjoyed from like I think it was 2024, right?
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, the Adam Sandler Spaceman movie. Yeah, that's one I enjoyed from that year. So that's another honorable mention I'd throw out there.
Well, with Life, I like the order that people get killed off, and I like that.
Yeah.
So
Look, I like Leo. If we would have been, if we were really down the dumps, but we could have would up Lost in Space.
No. I'd say no to all three of those.
Yeah, and then Stephen just mentioned that he loves it.
Lost in Space?
No.
Actually, most of that movie's on the planet, isn't it?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I would still say no to it.
Look, I think there's 100 more space movies we could have brought up before we even got to Lost in Space.
I would have brought up Leprechaun 4 before I brought up Lost in Space.
But it's time to vote on where we want these movies, and how we vote is we write down what we want at the number 12 spot, and then if it's got majority of votes, it will make that number 12, and then we'll move on to 11 and so on and so forth. But Wolf, what do you have for number 12?
For number 12, even though it is my favorite movie of the year, I'm okay with putting this at 12 is Project Hail Mary, just because it's recency bias. Now, ask me again, this could shoot up later on and make it higher whenever we do this list again at some point. So,
Austin, what do you have at 12?
I've lived with all the other movies longer, so I'm going to say Project at number 12, but I'm fine with it being on the list, but it needs to be higher because I've lived all these movies longer.
Yeah. And Jonathan?
Same reasoning, Project Hail Mary.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only movie on here I hadn't seen, so I wasn't going to vote for it just because I haven't seen it. But I like the others more. I put in Stella.
You're going to be waiting on that one.
This happens a lot on Rankums, where it's like where Malcolm will have something early on that like everyone else
he'll stick just to his guns the whole time.
I know which one he's thinking about. I think I know which one.
Look, I'm fine if I have to keep that on my board because it means that I can focus on writing out the banners.
Yeah, that's true.
You can have that for a while. That's if it's that movie.
Yeah.
But Austin, what do you have as what do you have?
Just because it's the one that I think skirts the line the most, I'm going to go Moon. Bring a space movie.
Jonathan, what do you have at 11?
For 2, Austin, Moon.
Okay.
I'm sticking with Interstellar.
I thought it was the other one. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And Wolf.
I had Apollo 13, but we can.
Mm-hmm. You might not be waiting on for long on that one.
Moon is going to be at 11. Jonathan, what do you have at 10?
If it were any other list, then I would have put it higher. In this case, Apollo 13.
Sticking with Interstellar, Wolf, what do you have for 10?
Apollo 13.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm kind of going in my head of like the movies that most exemplify space movies for me. So I'm gonna go Apollo 13 next. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But to the surprise of no one, I'm sticking for Interstellar. Wolf.
Don't have time to write it all, but I guess I would go Star Trek First Contact next.
Austin.
Just because the last act is not as strong as the first 2 acts, I'm going to go Sunshine.
Jonathan.
Okay. You know what? I do agree. I'm going to agree with that. Yeah, I'll put Sunshine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What did you originally have, out of curiosity?
It was a comedy.
Comedy.
I think it's the only one. But no, that's a good point. The last act is not as strong.
Yeah, it's not.
Wolf, what do you have at 8?
I'm gonna stick with Star Trek First Contact right now.
Austin.
I didn't have time to write it. I'm gonna go Galaxy Quest.
Jonathan.
Yeah, it was Galaxy Quest. Man.
And I had Interstellar.
Yeah, no. Compose a score for the next space.
But Austin, what do you have at 7?
Event Horizon.
Jonathan.
We're on the same page tonight. Event Horizon.
We're in tune a lot.
Stick with Interstellar. Wolf.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change my mind too now and say Event Horizon as well.
Okay, so what we got left? 2001 Interstellar.
It's 2001 Interstellar, First Contact, Star Wars, Alien, Gravity.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what?
I've got like a top 3 in my head. This is just getting tricky here.
Yeah. But I'm sticking with I can't remember it. I'm sticking with Interstellar.
Let's go you. Yeah. Your turn, Wolf.
Yeah. Okay. So when compared to the other films, I'm gonna put Gravity at 6.
Yeah, I'm going with movies that have been in my lifetime for long. I'm going to go Gravity.
Okay.
And Jonathan.
I think this may be the first time we don't agree, but I'll be fine with it. Star Trek: First Contact.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd argue Gravity's been in your life ever since you were born.
Sure. I mean, when I was a baby, like they had to get me off the roof a lot. Like I kept floating up there. I lived in this weird interdimensional area. Strange. It's a long story.
But Wolf, what do you have for 5?
What I got for 5 is Star Trek: First Contact.
Austin.
Yeah, I'm fine with Star Trek being at number 5. I think that's solid. Yeah.
Star Trek: First Contact.
Yeah.
Star Trek: First Contact is going to be at 5.
Okay. Okay.
Ooh, baby.
I think I'm not.
Oh man. Holy oh man.
But we've got 2001 Interstellar, Star Wars: A New Hope, and Alien left. Austin, what do you have for 4?
This pains me to vote for any of these movies because I love them all. Interstellar.
Jonathan.
Back on the same track. Interstellar.
Yeah.
Interstellar.
Thank you for something else.
Yeah, now you're gonna write something else funny. I had what its proper name is, which is just Star Wars. So.
Yeah. All right. 2001 Star Wars and Alien.
Oh crap.
Oh boy.
This was the 3?
This is like a oh man, like a total toss up. Oh yeah. Oh boy.
I have a logic for this one, but
yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Yeah.
All right. Jonathan, what do you have for 3?
just because that first third is on Tatooine, Star Wars.
2001. Wolf.
Star Wars.
And
Star
Austin.
Wars.
Yeah.
Damn. All right, now you're voting for number 1.
Thank God I'm last. So.
Number 1.
What represents space the best?
We got the ultimate tagline, and then we got one that has the title.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's true. The title.
The title. Yeah, the title of the show is in the title.
But
all right.
For me, number 1, I'm going Alien. Wolf.
So I know earlier I said I'm not as big and as high on this movie, but I think in terms of what represents a space movie, I gotta go 2001.
Austin, what do you have for number 1?
It was the first thing I wrote down for this list, and it's on my T-shirt. 2001.
And Jonathan.
2001.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Stanley Kubrick for the win.
Yeah.
That's right. Wolf, if you ever get a chance to see it in the theater, do yourself a favor. I'm telling you.
That for me represents space.
It just represents space. It's just all about exploration and the beauty and majesty of like traveling through space and the stations and the docking sequences and like it has all that stuff that like Interstellar, does later. Like you can tell Nolan is like a huge inspiration. Like 2001 was his jam. Like he's just constantly throwing back to that. Project Hail Mary has some nods to 2001. When he's walking through the airlocks and the color scenes on the helmet. Like there's definitely
red.
To 2001. Yeah, and that's and those things too. 100%.
But for that, time to recap the list. At number 12, we've got Project Hail Mary. At number 11, we've got Moon. At 10, we've got Apollo 13. At 9, we got Sunshine. At 8, we've got Galaxy Quest. At 7, we've got Event Horizon. At 6, we've got Gravity. At 5, we've got Star Trek First Contact. At 4, we got Interstellar. At 3, we got Star Wars New Hope. At 2, we've got Alien. And number 1, we've got 2001 A Space Odyssey.
Good list.
That's a space film festival right
there. Yeah.
But
yeah, the IMAX would be great. I haven't seen an IMAX yet. I saw it in an XD theater back in like 2011 or something for something. But yeah, it's great. Well, do yourself a favor if you ever get a chance to go out of your way to do so.
Yeah.
It's approaching 60 years.
I'm sure they're going to do a 60.
I'm going to say 2 years from now they got to do like a big 60th anniversary thing. They have to.
Yeah,
for sure.
But with that is the end of ranking for this week. Next week, we're going from space movies to Vince Vaughn movies.
Okay.
Who I don't think has ever been in a space movie. But Wolf,
what?
But Wolf, we can build for you online.
Yeah, you can find me on my channel. Here's the thing. I will be reviewing the Super Mario Bros. Movie very soon, the Super Mario Bros. Galaxy film. So
another space movie.
Yeah, another space movie. There you go. We got 2 space movies technically in the same month because it technically releases March 31st. So, but yeah, I'll be reviewing that, and then in April I have my Halfway to Halloween, which might be slightly different and alter this year, but still going to do like a little halfway to Halloween video for you guys because in April, because it's like I always well, yeah, it's crazy that we're already halfway there. So it's going to be a list of just movies to recommend, for whenever spooky season comes along. So that should be really fun. And then of course we got our monthly mistake, which Austin.
Oh boy, did I suggest a doozy for April? Man, should I just tell the people or tell them what I suggest because I suggested it? Oh God, so. My Regal is doing comedies for April for their classic movies. They're continuing their classic movies, which thank God for Regal, man. They've been doing classic movies every month, which is awesome. I think it's great way to get people to the cinema. They're doing April Fools, so it's like a comedy theme month. So I said, let's do a comedy. We haven't done a comedy yet, right? Like what's a comedy that you can definitely drink to that is so stupid and so terrible and filled with things you can drink those route? We're doing the Friedberg Seltzer awful classic disaster movie for that. Oh boy. Oh God. Yeah.
That's going to be a disaster to say the least.
Yeah.
So there's that planned, and then just some other reviews throughout the month of April. So it should be a fun one.
Stephen, I'm going to try my best to make sure it doesn't even make the list.
There are plenty of good ones.
Yeah.
There's also plenty of bad ones.
There's bad ones too.
They're really bad ones.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
But Austin, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can mostly find me over on the Movie Hero Network. You'll see a lot of these guys popping up, on different shows and whatnot, tournament fights, tier ranker fights. We do a show called Wheel of Movies, every 2 weeks, and so you can check us out there. And the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast as well, if you want to see me talk some wrestling, and then I'm in all the trivia spaces as well. So, come check us out. Thanks.
Jonathan, where can people find you online?
Yeah, fun, quick show. Thanks, guys. You can find me on social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky, and Threads, a different variation of Cinec Hero. I'm going to resume Movies of 2006 tournament this week. And I've been on the Movie Hero Network this past week, a fun week with Austin's 64 and Rhonda's 64. And it was just a blast discussing a myriad of different movies. I was on yesterday on the also Movie Hero Network discussing part 5 of Best to Worst. That was a mostly civil discussion, and it was actually pretty good. And then I'm actually not going to be popping up anywhere else in the near future until the end of April, or otherwise it's an emergency. But and that's it for me. And whoever celebrates it, happy early Easter.
And you can find me on Tape Productions hosting Rankin every week. Next week is Vince for Movies. On my personal channel, I host Spear from the Past, which is my wrestling podcast. Next episode is going to be on No Way Out 2007. It'll probably end up being next week now. But then I'll pop up here and there in other places. But until next time, that is the end of Rankin for this week. And just have fun at the movies.
Close the pod bay doors, Malcolm.